How's it going, YouTube? Some exciting news for you guys all today in the wide world of Rocket League, and it has to do with a much long requested feature due to the fact that people on the West Coast kind of get the short end of the stick when competing in the RLCS. And I know this is kind of more of a NA-centric type video, which luckily for us, the majority of you are from North America. But there's been a lot of complications over the year. One of my most viewed videos of all time is due to ping issues and a certain player saying that a certain building should go up a certain person's rear end. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, go check out my top videos. But primarily, there's been a ongoing issue with the RLCS where it has always been East Coast based. Players on the east side of the United States have always been given an advantage with lower ping, and in a game that is physics based, it's kind of important. The ability to read the trajectory of the ball or deal with what are called ghost hits, where you think you're doing it and then it kind of just warps around you. It's frustrating. So it seems like this could proactively change what is a big advantage in Rocket League. Like this, I don't think people realize how big of a deal this is. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, on April 2nd, I'm glad they waited until after April 1st. They have made a dedicated selection to servers. So if you were competing in the US in the past, you could do US West and US East. And the issue is US East kind of was grouped, and I can tell you as someone who plays US East a majority of the time, I could get sometimes servers where I had like 16 ping, and then there would be times where I got 80 ping. And it's like, there was central servers, and central servers have been a thing for a very long period of time. But what feels like what happened is they have enough to where they can now group them all as one dedicated thing. And I can tell you, if I only queue US Central, my queue time is definitely a little bit longer than if I just do East. East was widespread, it did a bunch, and I'm still going to probably queue both of these. But the fact that I can do specifically Central, but if I queue just Central and I can get on average anywhere from like 35 to 40 ping versus US East where it can range anywhere from what was lower end of like 20 all the way up to like 80, I think it's kind of nice and worth the wait. Now, what this actually does, and if you guys aren't familiar on how this works, if you go into Rocket League and you go to the top right, same with arenas, you can thumbs up and thumbs down arenas you don't want up to a certain amount. But if you go into regions, you can actually select which ones you want. Most of the time, most people just do recommended. But US East and US West, I avoid West Coast just because West Coast servers have always been historically poor. But what this actually does, I think, for the RLCS is pretty important. You're talking, there's a lot of RLCS pros that are playing with 80 plus ping, sometimes in the hundreds on the RLCS. And they do have RLCS specific servers where when going into an actual match, they will ask the players, do you want this location, or this location? And then they allocate a specific like server with the tournament admins. But now I think for open qualifiers, signups, all of that kind of stuff, you're going to see the default for tournament organizers like myself and people who have ran events, where US Central is now going to be the default. I think you can have both West Coast, East Coast, and Central all playing on Central. And then the great equalizer will be if I'm a Central player and I play someone in Europe, we'll pick US East or something of that nature. It might change up how those things apply. I think, again, when Johnny Boy and those guys are still doing show matches, they're going to have to alternate between home advantage. But I think primarily for the RLCS, it's a pretty big deal. When you're seeing a lot of players that do have really bad ping on the west side, being able to neutralize that somewhere in the middle. So while it may not seem like a big deal, I do think it's a new standard that you're going to see moving forward. And I hope that any tournament organizer that's watching or anything like that, US Central should be the standard moving forward for any RLCS event. And you still may have to join multiple times until you find the best one, but step in the right direction. Doesn't seem like too big of a deal, but I think overall it's kind of a W. So pretty cool stuff. Even though these have been pre-existing, US Central servers have existed. And if you knew, like, I think it was like servers that started in like 1098 or something like that were Central servers, you could identify it. There was a bunch of like data testing and behind the scenes stuff that we did to find them, but dedicated servers for Central, pretty dope, cool to see. If it's something you guys are excited about, let me know in the comments down below. But pretty easy today. If you guys enjoy it, like, subscribe, notifications. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.